Hi again. Here we are to continue our lesson in HTML. So in the previous two videos, I talked about the syntax and I talked about the tags and semantic HTML, the idea. And in this video, I'd like to give you some homework assignments and give you something to work on and to practice the art of writing HTML. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our web browser here. And I'm going to go to github.com, and I'm going to go to my GitHub, which is github.com/soggybag. So this is my GitHub right here. And I'm going to go to repositories, and there's a repository called Learn Semantic Markup. Okay, so if we go to this one, and if you don't see it at the top, you can search for it. So you can search for Learn, and it should give you Learn Semantic Markup, right? This repository has a bunch of files in it, and they're arranged with the names challenge1 and challenge1 solution, right? .html. See, these are just a bunch of HTML files, right? And there's a description of it here, and you can read through this. I'll just go through it right now with you. The idea is each one of these challenge files has some text in it. We'll take a look at this first one here, and you'll notice there's no markup. Okay, so it's just the text, and your goal is to mark up the text. Okay, so you'll add the tags. Okay, and the solution shows one solution. There's more than one solution. Some solutions might be better than others, but this is the solution that I came up with and used. Okay, and each one of these has this, so you can check your work, check your solution against my solution, and compare and see what you chose, which tags you chose against which tags I chose, right? And then this should be pretty good practice. These documents are all different, right? So this first one has sort of an article about the HTML language, and the second one has a quote by Mark Twain, right? And the third one has a couple quotes, right? So there's like a list of quotes there, and the fourth one is it looks like a weather report, right? So the thing about these documents is they're very typical to the type of content that you might get in a job writing code that generated HTML, or writing the HTML code for some kind of website or web application that you are creating, right? So you might get text that look just like this, and you'd have to think of what markup to use. So this is what the practice is for. So if you can go through these and mark up all these things, in the future when you get a job and you see some new content text, you should have a pretty good idea of how to mark it up, right? So here's what you can do. If you have a GitHub account, you can fork this repository by clicking fork, and then you'll have your own copy of it, and then you can work on your copy. If you don't have a GitHub account, then you can make a GitHub account and fork it, or you can just go to this big green button right here and you can choose download zip, okay? If you're working with the GitHub desktop, you can click this and open it there if you want. But if you don't have a GitHub account, you can just click this download zip. And when you do, it should download the files in a folder here, or actually I guess it downloads a zip. And then when I open it up, it gives me a list of all the files that were there, right? And you can open this folder up in your code editor. So here's my code editor here, right? And then you can look at them, right? So I'm going to start here with this markup HTML language. So I'll do a quick example. So, this actually looks like a complete story to me. Like if anybody wanted to know about HTML markup, like if this was part of a larger document, I could pull this section out. So it kind of looks like an article to me. So I'm going to use the article tag, right? So I'm going to surround the whole thing in the article. So everything goes inside article, okay? This really looks like the heading to me, both of these things. So since I have more than one item in the heading, I'm going to make this a header, right? So I'll put these things in the header. And since this is maybe probably the title of the document, we'll make this the H1. So maybe I'll do that. And then this looks kind of like a subheading or something, it's kind of like the source for the article, right? So there's a couple things that you can use for this, and I'll let you look up what that is. You could make this the small tag. This is kind of for small print, right? So, maybe that kind of works here. It could be a paragraph. It's probably not an H2, okay? Anytime you have a heading, H1 through 6, before you use the heading tag, ask yourself, would this be part of the table of contents in a book or some kind of publication? And if so, then you can use the H1 through 6. And I don't think from Wikipedia would be a chapter in the book or an item in the table of contents, right? Hypertext markup language might be in the table of contents of like a book on the World Wide Web or programming for the web or programming in general, right? So in that case, then this makes a good, H1, right? Could have been an H2 or H3 if I have another heading here, right? Okay, and we'll keep going. So I'll make this the small tag, and then I'm looking here and I see that this is a paragraph, right? So it looks like one solid paragraph. I mean, the line return here kind of tells me that I'm starting a new paragraph. So maybe I'll make this the paragraph tag, right? And we have a tag down here for a paragraph, and I'll put the other one here. And then this kind of says like where the article came from, and I kind of feel like that's like a footer for the article. It's kind of tells us like who published it or who wrote it, the author, something like that. And that usually goes in the footer. So I'll make a footer at the bottom. And then I probably want to wrap this in something. It could be another small tag. It could be a paragraph maybe. There is some room for interpretation here, right? And and I'm open to that. The solutions I came up with are kind of what I thought of, but you might think of something different. So if you think of something different from what I have, maybe compare and contrast the two, and your solution isn't necessarily wrong and mine isn't necessarily like so right, but anyway, there we go. And there's actually more stuff you can put in here. So for example, HTML is an abbreviation for hypertext markup language, and we have an ABBR tag for, it's a tag for abbreviation. So I could use that one here, right? And, if you saw something in here that was, that you wanted to stand out as bold, or you wanted to say it strongly with a strong voice, we have a tag called strong, and we could use that. So maybe I want to say hypertext markup language like really strong, so I could put the strong tag here, So I think the key thing to writing the markup and adding the markup to the page is actually reading the content and understanding what the content is. Right? Now, I don't have everything here, and I notice that this thing is in a little bracket there, and it says number 4. I think this is kind of a citation, or not a citation, but like a footnote, So it would say technologies for the web, and then this would be a link that links to a footnote at the bottom of the page. Sometimes they write this in a small character that sits a little bit higher than the word, and that's called supertext. Sometimes if you have like a little character or something that sits below the text, that's called subtext, right? So we actually have a tag for that too. So the subtag stands for supertext, right? So maybe I think that the footnotes should be supertext, so I'll put the subtag around them, right? And I'm going to go get my file here. So actually, here's a shortcut. If you're not sure where your files are at, if you Control-click on them, you can show Reveal in Finder. So I'm going to do that, and there's my file there. And then here's the solution that I came up with. I'll open this in Safari, and this is what it looks like, right? So this is the strong tag. It comes out bold. The ABBR doesn't show as anything, right? But this was marked up as an abbreviation, right? And then the supertext here you can see sits up a little bit higher, right? So there you go. That's your goal, right? And if you're not sure, if you're just beginning, you may not know all the tags. So what you want to do is you want to read the text here, kind of try and ask yourself a question like, what is something like, for example, this text here looks like a link, like we'd want to be able to click this to go to this article. So what we'd do then is we'd look up the tag list right here. So we do HTML. I'm going to go to my browser here and look up HTML tag list. And we'll go to this reference here. And you can go to any reference, they're all the same. We're actually working in the HTML5 language. So acronym, it says, is not supported HTML5. So we probably shouldn't use this. It says use the abbreviation instead, right? So we did that. That was good. And, I might look through here and it says defines a hyperlink. So a hyperlink is a link tag. So I'd want to use the A tag maybe for my text down here, right? So I could use the A tag. And, I could wrap that in the anchor, and if I look at my page here, you can see, oh yeah, I forgot, the A tag needs to have this little attribute. I'm going to do a thing on attributes in the next video, but I'll just fill this in here. Really, it would be the link itself right there, right? And then if I was to save it and go to my browser here, you can see this now becomes a link and it'll take me to the Wikipedia article when I click it, right? But anyway, there we go. And actually, like those attributes, there's an attribute for everything. So this ABBR tag actually has an attribute too. Let's actually look that one up just for fun, right? So if I look here, you can see they give me a sample. Like this is what what it would look like maybe in action. So you'd say WHO is the World Health Organization, and if you include the title attribute here, right, you can include the definition of the abbreviation within the tag, and that's like where we start to add more, information, making rich information out of our documents, right? So I could do that here. I have my ABBR, like, let's put the title in here and say hypertext markup language, right? So I just put the ABBR, I got my title equals. These attributes are always name equals and then the value, and the value always goes in the quotation marks. Okay, so I'll save that and we'll take a look at what it looks like here in the browser. So hey, wait a minute. Let me go get my page again. Maybe I moved it. Let me see here. Let's open this guy up in the browser again. Oh, there we are. Oh yeah. So here's my thing. And if you notice, if I hover over this now, it shows me hypertext markup language as a little message, right? So anyway, there you go. Your goal now is to go through all of the documents in the folder here, and you mark them up, and then you can compare your work against the solution. Okay, so thanks for watching. I'll put a link to this GitHub repository in the comments for the video, and if you have any questions, just post a question to the comments, and if you have any suggestions for new documents, or you have a solution that you like, you can post your solution as an issue to my GitHub repo here. Okay, thanks for watching.